Hocknell now. He is the director at wildfires. He joins from London. Welcome, Chris. I mean, these used to be unusual occurrences, things like wildfires, and now it seems like I'm reporting on them every day. Is this just the new reality, and do we have to adapt to dealing with these things?
Yes, to some extent it is. I think there's some good news and there's some bad news when it comes to wildfires in Europe. The good news is that the majority of them are actually human caused or human influenced, so from careless burning, agriculture, or infrastructure, machinery causing sparks and things like that, or even potentially arson and that kind of thing. So the good news is that obviously if we're influencing it then, or creating the spark, then we can intervene and obviously do what we can to reduce them. The bad news is that as the climate's changing and warming, what's really happening is the hotter, drier conditions are increasing, so they're getting longer, and there's some more meteorological issues like hot winds and things like that, which can actually increase the spread. So fundamentally, we're kind of increasing the mass and the fuel for these fires. So it's not a problem that's going away, and we need to fully think about how we're going to start intervening and start practically planning as an infrastructure priority going forward.
Yeah, based on what you just said, it sounds like once they start, it's very difficult to stop them. But also we're to blame for starting a lot of them. So is it going to become a situation where prevention's the key? For example, maybe we'll be teaching children in every school about the things they need to do to prevent starting a wildfire?
Yes, I think, well, like most things, prevention is always the best first step. I think because wildfires have probably been perceived as something which happens, say, in California and other parts of the world, and maybe less relevant for Europe. I think that's changing. So we need to readjust how we perceive potential climate risks and climate resilience. And I think this is a fundamental shift, and it's not just related to wildfires. It's related to, say, flooding and overheating and things like that. But it's how we actually look at our physical and natural infrastructure within the country, and are we actually planning and managing it and doing things like, for example, public education campaigns, managing the fuels that might start wildfires, and doing things like buffer zones and all these kind of aspects which you can consider, I suppose, physical or even regulatory infrastructure. We now need to start applying that to more things.
I mean, is this just part of the bigger picture, that the reality that climate change is changing the world we live in? Things are getting hotter. I mean, are we going to have to start adapting a lot of things, such as the types of buildings we live in? We can't just keep cranking up the air conditioning more and more, just different things that we can do to deal with the hotter climate.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and this discipline is really called climate resilience, and it's something that has been covered, and EU regulation has been talking about it for a while. But I would say, to be fair, it's probably a secondary element or a secondary factor. Well, we're maybe focused on other aspects of development or even focusing on carbon. But I actually think that in our pursuit of net zero and carbon, we're forgetting other things around making ourselves more resilient, because the climate is changing, and the climate change that we're going to experience is locked in now. We have decades of that coming. So we need to start putting our resilience and our standard approach to buildings, making them more less prone to overheating, better designed. Flood risk is a big one as well. How we manage the land and how we actually design land use and urban development needs to be vastly enhanced to make sure that whatever the weather throws at us and whatever happens in 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, we can handle it without total chaos and breakdown in the economy.
Chris, thanks so much. Great to speak to you. Chris Hocknell's my guest, director at wildfires.